Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Se Vuelve Podcast. My name is Monica, and I want to thank you for being here. For this episode, I'm really coming in not really having an outline. I'm coming in with just my thoughts, just myself, and it's a little bit different. It's a lot different for for my type A self. I'm coming in because I have to be honest. There's originally something different planned for this week's episode. I was supposed to have a guest, and then things got busy with that person or individual. So then I was like, oh, since the week before I'm going to be doing the episode on my study abroad journey, I think it would be great if I have somebody that I, met out there for this week's episode. And it didn't happen. That person I reached out to, which makes sense. This is a lot to do. It's a very vulnerable and scary thing to do, and not everybody is comfortable with it. So I completely understood. So now I'm doing a little bit of an impromptu episode. And it's just funny because these are kind of like the realities of being a podcaster. But I don't know if people really talk about it. Sometime last year, I had already decided that I wanted to do the podcast, and there was this person that I followed who was kind of doing like a little workshop, and it was a free workshop. So I was like, why don't I attend this? It's about podcasting or starting a podcast. And what I kind of learned from that little workshop was that the best thing you can do is kind of like put yourself out there. Just do it, right? That's essentially what this person said. You can be making money from podcasting and just by simply like doing this. Obviously, when I created this podcast, I came in with the intentions of I'm doing this because I truly believe in sharing stories, because I'm one of those individuals that throughout the last couple of years I've listened to numerous podcasts, and I've done a lot of self-reflection and a lot of growth, and those podcasts that have really helped me out, and I wanted to share content that was real and vulnerable and raw. But obviously I also ultimately I want to have this be my career, right? I love and I'm passionate about doing this. It brings me so much joy. But the realities are that it takes it takes more than just simply sitting down and recording an episode. So one of the things that I do take from that individual that I did this workshop was that she said, at least set your goal at 10. And by the end of those 10, right, if you love it, then continue with it. And if you don't, then at least you tried. Obviously, by last week's episode, I hit my 10. But even before I hit my 10, I'm going to try not to get emotional. When I was sitting down and talking to individuals and hearing these stories and being able to share these things to you, I knew from, I would say, third episode, because that's when I got to kind of have my friends on and reflect on it, talk it out. I knew, I was like, this is what I love to do. This is what I want to continue to do. And it's hard. It's hard to, like, now that I'm living it, right? It's hard to incorporate it with your like real life. There's nothing more than I want than to fully invest myself. And I'm that kind of type of person, right? I go all in, and I invest myself in my projects, in my jobs, whatever it is. I'm always investing myself in it fully. And I think it's even especially tough just because I love it, right? But the reality is that at this time, right, I can't fully like invest my whole time because I have to work. Listening through other podcasts, I've heard individuals who create a Patreon and they have like little subscriptions, and you can kind of do that through other websites and stuff. But I never went in thinking like, oh yeah, I'm going to be a subscription based podcast. So going a little bit back, that person said, start off with doing 10 episodes. So it had been a struggle to kind of start this going, right? So I was like, okay, at least let's try for 10. When I started, I had counted kind of like the weeks. I had seen that there was 24 weeks left for the end of this year. It sounds almost like aligned, right? I was like, oh, 24 episodes for 2024. Like, I think I can do it. And going in, I had kind of created this schedule, and I had it's all organized. I'm like, I have the dates that things are going to be released, when things are going to be recorded. I was like, okay, I know that around the holidays it's going to get busier, so I should probably try to not film as much. And, I had it all kind of on paper, beautifully set up. But the reality is that sometimes you're not in the right mood, or don't feel good, or in the right headspace to record things. So then things have to shuffle, or if you are having other people on, you're also having to work with these individuals' schedules as well. I just want to continue to putting my time and energy into this because I fully believe that it's worth it. It's worth it. And right now I'm having a hard time trying to figure out how does that fit into like my working schedule. Things are starting to pick up at the school, and people are asking me like, "Oh, can you cover this day?" And funny enough, I had a conversation with two of the teachers last week, and I told them that I was struggling. I don't know how to do the podcast and like work and be human. I, and I say that because can I be, essentially working on this after school or on the weekends? Yeah, like if I was working Monday through Friday, right? Usually a lot of the times on the weekends I'm cleaning, or sometimes I go when I spend time with family or my friends. And I know that if I don't take a break and all I'm doing is nonstop, then I know I'm going to burn out, and I don't want to burn out. And especially with my podcast, because it's something that I truly love doing. I want to be able to put out great content, quality content. I know that I've said that I'm trying to kind of leave that perfectionist mentality behind, but I also want to deliver quality work. And I know this for a fact. I work with other people. I work with children, large groups. I know how I feel energetically when you come from work. Sometimes you're up at like, or at least myself, sometimes be up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I start off with meditation. I get ready. I make my breakfast. I get my things together, right? And I'm always early at the school. By the time I get home, around 3 p.m., sometimes you just have the energy to make yourself dinner, kind of relax, read a book, go out for a walk. You're in bed early so that you're able to get up. Going back to what this individual had said, oh, well, you just, you filmed 10 episodes. Okay. I created 10 episodes. They're now released. What she didn't talk about, it's the fact that doing this is a full-time job. And maybe not necessarily like the filming, depending on what it is, or at least for me, when I'm recording with somebody, it can take up to 2 hours or maybe over that. When I'm by myself, yeah, it can take a little bit less. What she didn't say is that you're spending, or I'm spending, countless hours editing. Funny enough, it's a little bit easier to edit when I'm recording with somebody. I feel like I'm more on task. I get a little sidetracked when I'm filming by myself. I do a little bit more editing for myself in case I'm repetitive or messed up and I stuttered. I told you guys that I didn't think that I was going to be on camera because I saw myself more behind camera. So this is difficult. It's difficult because myself is the brand or the face of my podcast, and you see me when I'm in conversation with other individuals. But this doesn't come naturally to me. I think I brought it up a couple of times. I'm a extrovert and introvert. That means that I'm kind of reserved, kind of shy. When it comes to being around people that I don't know, I'm obviously like more comfortable with my friends. Obviously, I've known them for years, or even colleagues, whatever, that I've known for a while. But this is a lot for me. Like, I'm putting myself out there. It's very vulnerable. when I'm doing the solo episodes, you're having to go through memories or things that you've maybe like put in the past, and it like relives or comes back up. And it's both a good thing and a bad thing, because sometimes it's nostalgic, or sometimes through those moments get to see how long you've come. And there's times that people say this is like therapy. You're kind of talking through it and working things out. Going forward, I don't know how this is going to look. My goal is still to release an episode a week. I'm just having to figure out good scheduling for it. Another thing that I had mentioned to the teacher was, I think I might have to set a boundary where the weekends are completely off to just myself, or maybe just leave it at light filming, and then I do something where maybe I'm working 3 days a week and then having 2 specific days in that week to fully just put towards my podcast. And she was like, well, that sounds like a good plan. What did she say? It's like, oh, you want to be human and have weekends off. Yeah, I do. I want to have the times to just sometimes relax. I say I don't do anything, but I mean, I was reading this weekend and just relaxing. No, I lied. I was editing. I was editing the podcast and setting it up to make sure that it gets distributed, and also editing a little teaser trailer. I've been talking with my friends and kind of letting them know my struggles, my concerns, and just saying, like, I don't know, like, do I just do 10 episodes and call it a season and then come back in 2025? Like, oh, but then I'm going to be so disappointed if things at work are a little bit light, right? And I end up just not working or not having a lot of days, and then I have the time for this, and then just essentially not putting my time and energy into it. I want to continue to release an episode a week. I know I keep saying, I'm like, this is a lot of work. It's a full-time job. I'm doing the writing on certain episodes, right? If it's my solo episodes, I'm doing outlines. When it's talking with other people, it's figuring out, okay, what do I want to talk to these other people about? What questions can I ask? I'm sitting down and filming. It's a lot when I'm doing solo episodes. I'm having to kind of keep focus, keep the conversation going with just myself. After that, it goes into the editing process. The editing process, like I said, takes hours. I think, when was it? I think last week. I recorded an episode on Tuesday. Started editing maybe like a couple hours after. I edited for 2 or 3 hours that day. Next day came. I also edited for an additional, I think like 6 hours or something like that. And I still continued. I mean, I think I was still editing this weekend. That takes the longest time, especially when it's a lengthy episode. After the editing is done, I have to export all that. Once I'm done exporting, I'm uploading into the program that distributes it. Then, like I said, I go into creating a little trailer, a little teaser. And then once it's distributed, I'm on social media. I'm posting. Obviously, I'm not working with anybody at this time. I'm doing the job of many. I really just hope to be able to do what's best for me, obviously, because on top of just work and podcasting, right, there's still my life, the things that I'm going through, the things that I'm struggling with, things that my friends are going through, my family's going through. There's all these factors. It's hard because I'm looking at the list of other episodes that I have, and I'm really excited to be able to share these things with you. Some of them are a little funny, some of them are a little different. Hopefully that can happen this year. If not, those conversations will come sometime next year. As always, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm grateful for anybody who tunes in to listen. I've had a couple comments being posted, like 2 comments, but a lot of comments from my friends, my colleagues, and it's been so lovely to hear these things and for them to say how much they love the podcast and how much they appreciate it, or if they've learned something, or or even just being able to relate, which is the reason why I wanted to share this, right? I wanted to share stories so that people feel heard and seen. There's sometimes that things are out there that they don't get shared because we keep it close to us. And I want to share these things because even if there's maybe one person out there that's like, oh, that person went through that, I'm going through that. Once again, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode. I would appreciate it if you could leave a review and let me know what information resonated with you. The pages are at Se Vuelve Podcast, or my personals at Se Vuelve Monica. Once again, thank you so much for listening. Nos vemos pronto. Talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.